The Austerlitz trap. Napoleon let them attack, then cut them in 21805. Napoleon's masterpiece isn't the moment he attacks, it's the moment he makes you believe you're already winning. December 2nd, 1805. Dawn comes cold and gray over rolling farmland near Austerlitz. Fog hangs low in the dips and valleys like a lid. Across that mist, the Allied army, Russian and Austrian, looks at Napoleon's line and sees what it has been hunting for, an emperor finally exposed. His right flank seems thin. His posture seems hesitant. His position looks like it can be split, turned, and finished. So the Allies do what confident coalitions always do. They agree on a plan that feels clean, rational, and final. Crush Napoleon's right. He doesn't rush to fix the weakness. He lets them see it. He lets them want it. And while they move to seize it, he prepares to destroy the one thing they cannot replace once it breaks: cohesion. Austerlitz matters because it's not just a battle, it's a demonstration. If the Allies win here, Napoleon's momentum collapses, and the coalition proves that numbers and unity can end the French threat. If Napoleon wins, he doesn't just survive, he proves that a single commander can break a larger force by controlling terrain, timing, and the enemy's expectations. This is Great Commanders and Decisive Battles, where we study why these leaders were great, not by mythologizing them, but by dissecting the decisions that bent history. And if you like this kind of breakdown, cinematic but actually useful, hit subscribe and drop a like. That's how you tell the algorithm you want more command decisions under pressure. And if there's another commander or battle you want next, put it in the comments. I'm always collecting targets. Now let's walk onto the field. In 1805, Europe is trying to stop Napoleon before he becomes permanent. Austria and Russia assemble a coalition aiming to crush France's influence and restore the old balance. Napoleon has already humiliated Austria. At an entire Austrian army forced into surrender through maneuver and speed. He has taken Vienna, but the coalition's core, Russian forces, still stands, and the Allies believe they can finally catch him in a fair fight. Napoleon wants exactly that, a decisive battle on his terms. Coalitions don't always lose because they bleed. They lose when they lose trust. Trust in the plan, trust in each other, trust that the campaign is worth continuing. Napoleon understands that. He's not only trying to win the field, he's trying to break the coalition's confidence so thoroughly that it can't hold together afterward. Napoleon's advantage wasn't supernatural genius, it was tempo. He compressed time. His core system let him move large forces in separate columns, then concentrate quickly at the point that mattered. He could accept short-term risk to buy long-term control, because he understood how long it takes an enemy to recognize a threat, agree on a response, and execute it. But there were blind spots. Napoleon gambled. He believed he could shape chaos. If he misread the enemy, if the coalition didn't do what he expected, his exposed positions could become real vulnerabilities. At Austerlitz, he makes the gamble anyway. The difference is that he engineers the conditions until the gamble becomes the smartest option on the board. Act I, setup. The battlefield's spine, and a weakness that looks too real. The battlefield is shaped around a central ridge, the Pratzen Heights. It's not a mountain range, just elevated ground that dominates movement and visibility. If you control that ridge, you control the battlefield's spine. You can shift troops left or right with leverage. You can see key routes, and you can threaten anything moving below. Napoleon appears to be doing something strange. He seems to be letting the Allies occupy that central high ground, and he seems to be thinning his own right flank, the southern side of his line. To an Allied planner, this looks like caution bordering on fear. It suggests an emperor who doesn't want to fight and is backing away. That appearance is not accidental. Napoleon wants the Allies to commit to one idea. His right is weak. Hit it hard. because if they commit to that, they'll have to move large formations off the Pratzen Heights and down into lower ground to execute the flanking attack. And the moment they do that, they create the opening Napoleon is waiting for. Here's the first brilliant decision. Napoleon performs weakness without becoming weak. He doesn't simply abandon his right and hope. He shapes the battlefield with a controlled invitation. He positions troops to look vulnerable while keeping them anchored. He places units where they can delay and absorb pressure just long enough. And, most importantly, he creates an expectation in the enemy's mind. This is where the battle will be decided. Meanwhile, Napoleon is preparing to decide it somewhere else. The Allied plan, largely credited to their staff planning, aims to roll up Napoleon's right, drive south and west, and cut him off from the roads that lead away. On paper, it's beautiful, a big force moving in coordinated columns, turning the flank, collapsing the line. But on a battlefield, coordination has a cost. Columns moving over uneven terrain don't arrive perfectly together. Messages don't travel at the speed of planning. And when you commit the bulk of your army to a flanking push, you don't just attack a flank. You often thin your center, sometimes without realizing it. Napoleon is counting on that. Mini lesson: great commanders don't just hide their plan. They shape the enemy's plan. When the opponent believes they've found your weakness, the most dangerous thing you can do is panic and patch it. Sometimes the weakness is a lever, because the enemy stepping toward it is the move you want to provoke. Act 2. The breaking point, timing the strike into the center. Morning arrives with fog and cold air. Visibility is limited. Sound feels muffled. The battlefield has that pre-impact quiet where everything seems paused right before it isn't. Their columns push toward Napoleon's right, descending from the Pratzen Heights into lower ground. From their perspective, this is the winning move. They're going to crush the wheat flank, sever the French retreat line, and force Napoleon into collapse. From Napoleon's perspective, this is the beginning of the trap closing. He watches. He waits. He does not strike too early. This is where many commanders fail. They see the enemy moving, and they feel compelled to react immediately, to hit first, to do something. Napoleon understands something colder. If he attacks before the coalition is fully committed, the Allies can adjust, they can pause, they can redirect reserves, they can reinforce the center, they can turn his blow into a mere skirmish. So he waits until the enemy's decision becomes heavy, until turning back would be slow, confusing, and costly. And then he makes the defining choice of Austerlitz. He orders an attack straight into the Allied center up onto the Pratzen Heights. This is the heart of the battle, not a flashy cavalry charge, not a romantic last stand. A decision about timing and terrain. When the coalition commits large forces to the right flank push, they create a delay in their own ability to respond elsewhere. Troops moving in columns can't instantly turn and redeploy. Units descending into low ground are less able to see what's happening in the center. Officers focused on their sector don't grasp the entire battlefield at once. Napoleon exploits that fog of war literally and figuratively. French forces surge upward onto the heights. The moment the center buckles, the Allied army stops functioning as one organism. It becomes two separate problems. One portion is still pushing toward Napoleon's right, convinced it's about to win. Another portion is suddenly realizing the battlefield's spine is snapping, and the plan they trusted is collapsing from the middle outward. And here's Napoleon's second brilliant decision layered inside the first. He doesn't treat his right flank as something to win. He treats it as something to hold, an anchor. He accepts pressure on the right so he can land the decisive blow in the center. Defense, for Napoleon, isn't passivity. It's time buying with purpose. Once the French seize the Pratzen Heights, the geometry of the battle changes. From the ridge, Napoleon can pivot forces left or right. He can strike into the flanks of Allied columns now extended and low. He can cut routes, disrupt coordination, and force the coalition to react in fragments. The Allies wanted to cut Napoleon off from retreat. Napoleon cuts them in half. Mini lesson: timing beats bravery. Striking first isn't always smart. Striking when the enemy can't undo their commitment is smarter. Don't interrupt the enemy while they're making a mistake. Let them finish the mistake, then punish it at the point that breaks the whole structure. Act 3. The result: collapse spreads faster than orders can stop it. Once the center breaks, the rest is less about elegant tactics and more about contagion. On real battlefields, most soldiers don't see the whole war. They see their slice of smoke, noise, and movement. They rely on a sense that the plan still exists somewhere. When that sense dies, discipline has to fight panic. Coalitions are especially vulnerable here. Large armies require coordination. Coalitions require trust, and trust is fragile under stress. Messages arrive late. Units hesitate because they don't know whether the neighbor unit is retreating or repositioning. A pullback in one sector looks like a collapse in another. Confusion breeds rumors, and rumors breed fear. And once fear enters the system, it spreads faster than command. Napoleon understands this phase too. He doesn't stop at breaking the line. He pushes to convert the break into irreversible defeat. That means pressure, relentless pressure, not allowing the enemy to stabilize, not allowing them to rebuild a coherent front, not allowing the coalition to turn a disaster into an organized retreat. As the coalition structure fails, parts of the Allied force are driven back toward difficult terrain and constricted routes. In the chaos of withdrawal, bottlenecks form. Units crowd roads and crossings. Artillery becomes hard to reposition. When an army loses cohesion, even small obstacles become catastrophic. This is where Austerlitz becomes more than a victory. It becomes a psychological wound. After the battle, the strategic effect is immediate and concrete. Austria is forced into peace later that month, December 1805, ending its role in that coalition. And within the following year, the political map of Central Europe shifts dramatically, including the end of old structures that had defined Europe for centuries. Austerlitz doesn't just win a day, it rewrites the negotiation table. Mini lesson: victory is not the moment the enemy line breaks. Victory is the moment the enemy loses the ability to recover. Once you crack the structure, don't give it time to rebuild. Why Napoleon was great here, without the romance. Austerlitz is studied because it's a clean demonstration of command as a craft. First, deception isn't lying, it's shaping expectations. Napoleon didn't need the Allies to be foolish. He needed them to be confident. He offered them a story they wanted to believe. My right flank is weak, and he let that story guide their decisions. Second, terrain isn't scenery, it's leverage. The Pratzen Heights weren't nice high ground. They were the battlefield's control panel. Taking them wasn't a trophy. It was control over movement, visibility, and the ability to split the enemy's effort. Third, decisiveness is selective. Napoleon didn't attack everywhere. He didn't chase every opportunity. He attacked where one success would rewire the entire fight, the center. That's what makes the decision brilliant. It's efficient. He managed the three invisible currencies of leadership better than his opponents: time, waiting until the enemy's mistake becomes costly to undo; attention drawing focus to the wrong problem; commitment, moving hard once the moment arrives. And that last part matters. Many leaders can wait. Many leaders can deceive. The rare ones can do those things and still have the nerve to commit at the exact second the window opens. That's command under pressure. Because on the day everything goes wrong, the map won't save you. Numbers won't save you. Even courage won't save you. only decisions will. And Napoleon's most brilliant battlefield decision at Austerlitz was simple, cold, and devastating. He let the enemy chase a weakness. Then he struck the center the moment their plan made them unable to stop him. Next episode, spoiler, Subutai will take this exact logic bait, timing and splitting an enemy's force, and scale it up until entire armies collapse without ever getting a clean fight.